add some saffron strands at the cost of this stuff. Might as well be. And let your ice melt with it. It's gonna infuse. I advise you to channel your inner mother chod. Stab that leg of lamb like it broke your heart. Do not, I repeat, do not stab anything else but the leg of lamb. That is all we are stabbing. The rest is just fantasy. Flip the meat over and stab the back. Just like your childhood best friend stabbed you in the back. I forgot to mention, this is an Eid special recipe. I thought this might be a great alternative to the regular old biryani that we always make, Also stab the sides. Bitches, the sides too. Shank them, motherfucking sides. Shank her, bitches. You're going to salt very generously. Look at the size of this leg. I know my hands are big, but seriously, this leg is massive. So just be very generous with your salt. And then I have some black pepper. That's a black pepper. Again, be generous, be kind. Also, I use my hands on my meat. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't gotta. I take my Mandi Spice mix, which I will put in the description below, and I add it into my melted saffron water. Please use gloves if you're grossed out by meat. I am not. I have clean hands, and that's what I use to rub my spices into my meat. I'm going to infuse that. I remember the little stabs that we did. This should penetrate it. And I will let this marinate for a couple of hours before I proceed. So it looked like I just did this and then next step, boing! But no, I actually let this sit for 2-3 hours, and then I did this. I think the steamer rack was from one of my old rice cookers, so I just used that to prop up my lamb. That way it'll evenly cook. And at the bottom of my pan, I have some whole spices, bay leaves, cardamom, a dried lemon, and a cinnamon stick, and some black peppercorns. And I'm going to use hot water at the bottom. This will help with making sure that the meat doesn't dry out as it cooks. We're not going to be cooking this on a very high heat. I set the temperature at around 300 degrees Fahrenheit for a couple hours. And I also wrapped it with aluminum foil on the top. Try to make sure that everything was kind of, secure and tight. And then I added the lid to my baking pan, this one, and then I put it in my oven. This dish is genuinely not difficult at all. It just needs a couple hours, that's all. This was after about 3 hours, and my lamb was pretty much cooked through, but I wanted it to have a crust, so I removed the parchment paper and aluminum foil, and then let it kind of sit in the oven again for another 30 to 35 minutes. It just kind of caramelized the skin. At this point, I was ready to start with my rice. So I had fried up a couple onions, quite a few actually, and then a bunch of rice. I'm going to toast the rice up with the onions for a minute or two before I add in my broth. The authentic way of making mandi is where you would actually have the pot of rice under the lamb, and the lamb would drip into the rice. Just Google it, you'll see what I mean by the visual, but I was doing a shortcut method, and I think essentially you get the same flavor. So what I did is I removed my lamb fully cooked, and I removed the rack, and then I strained my broth into my rice. So all the juices, all the goodness from the lamb will be still infused into my rice. Don't be alarmed if your soup is not, equal to your rice, or you feel like your rice is still too dry. What we're going to do now is we're going to mix it all in together. I added 3 whole green chilies. I did not slit them. I don't want my food spicy. I just want that infusion. You know what I mean by the scent that it gives. I also added a whole garlic head, which I rinsed really well. I also want to mention that my rice has been pre-soaked, so it will cook really, really fast. I'm a multitasker, so as this is going, I'm also frying my pine nuts as well as my raisins for my toppings. I'm simultaneously doing this while cooking the rice, and here I am adding some water from my hot water kettle because the liquid from my soup was not enough to cook the rice. You still need some liquid to cook the rice, enough liquid to cook the rice. I adjusted my salt because I needed a little bit more. You have to taste. And then my Mandi Spice as well. I stirred it up. As you can see, it's already sort of cooking, so I don't want to add too much water. And at this point, I'm going to let it steam under the kitchen towel for about 30 minutes. I say 30 minutes because this is a huge pot of rice. And here it is. Everything is ready at this point. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I filmed it this way. You can hardly see the rice. I have fluffed it up already, and it's so moja moja. Do you know what I mean by moja moja? Like pokote, like one by one, two by two. This dish was actually a special request from my best friend, Nashra. She had been craving, her and her husband. And also, by the way, they lived in Dubai. So, like, you know, like her standards be high, man. And she loved it. So I'm so happy. Alhamdulillah. Also, some of that broth I did reserve because you want to, like, use it as a soup. And this is the pilpili. And at the end, after the food was smoked with the coal, I added all my toppings, which were the nuts and the raisins. And yeah. Recipe details will all be in the description, so don't forget to check that out.